What's up, guys? It's me. I am going to get some propane. Well, this is not very bright. That's okay. It will be bright enough for you. There we go. I got the screen turned down, I think. I'm going to show you where I started out here. Old friend Bill passed away in April of 2025. He used to live over here on the property that's owned by somebody, and he worked for this person, and this person is a very nice guy. Anyway, I'm not going to really mention any names, but if you'd really like to know, just ask in the comments. And Bill worked for this guy doing farm work for rent and power, which I thought was a pretty sweet deal. Plus he got extra money, you know, for his needs and stuff. And also, the guy was a bishop at the time for the church, Mormon church, and so he helped Bill with getting food sometimes, also through the church. Not always, but sometimes. And Bill called me one day after I think like almost a year after I'd helped him move down here from Layton, Utah. Here's the turn. Oh, no, but it's the next one. 4,000 is what I'm on. I believe it'd be 4,000 north. I just came off of 1,600 west. The real interesting thing about this road is it holds a few memories that I'll never forget. Somewhere along here there was a big puddle. And the first time I had been through a big puddle, Bill was with me. He says, "Oh, don't worry about it, this road's got a good bottom." So I just kept on rolling, nice and easy throttle. No problem. Did that many times. Well, he lived over here, and one time when we were leaving out of here, the engine just died in the middle of the puddle. I was like, "Oh, what happened?" I started it. It started after a few tries. Got down the block about where I started this video, and then it died again and wouldn't start again. So I got a new crankshaft position sensor. Is what it ended up needing. I had to fix it on the side of the road after I got some help from some friends. Good times. That trailer is not the one Bill lived in, but it's one like he had, kind of. But that is where Bill used to live, and I had a tent out there for a couple of weeks. Then as I got to know other people, I stayed in a little camper for a while that somebody had. I think about 3 weeks, I don't know. Time's a little bit fuzzy in my head. That was a while ago now. Gosh, 10 years almost. Somebody else lives out here now. Anyway, I'd take Bill places because he didn't have a driver's license at the time. He used to drive a semi-truck years before, and he got some tickets for overweight scales on the scale. And he didn't think it was that big a deal to not pay it, you know, it's just a scale ticket, he figured. Turned out they took his CDL because he didn't pay those after a while. And well, a couple of years ago, he was ready to get his driver's license finally. And so then he did, and I didn't have to drive him around anymore after that. You know, the guy was kind of distant from people, not real emotional about being attached to people, but he cared. There's a time when my vehicle broke down, the other Jeep. It needed something. I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was a long time ago. Again, or a while. 3 or 4 years now. It's been a while. And he's all, hey, you know, you're going to be working on your vehicle, just I'll come over and you can where I'm gonna go over to Enterprise, he said, I can come and get you, and then you can take me home and borrow my car while you work on your vehicle. I said, oh, that's nice of you. He says, yeah, don't worry about it. You took me all over the place for years. I said, okay. So I think it was a fuel pump I had to do it, or something like that, or the steering knuckles, maybe that's what it was. But anyway, it was quite a process. It took me 7 days or so. This is a neat part of this road that I like. I used to just come out here and stop and just chill, because there's rarely any traffic on it, because it's not a conducive road to saving time. But it's kind of fun. Once in a while you'll see a four-wheeler, person on a four-wheeler come out here and play around, or I used to anyway. If I remember right, I need to slow down right here. That way, go somewhere else. This way goes this way. Kind of just winds through here. So after I got that little place to live, or that little camper to live in for a little while, I decided it was small, too small for me. And Bill knew this guy, old man, older, 84, I think is how old he is. Probably 90 now. As far as I know, he's still alive and kicking. He's a real organic food kind of guy, and so he's in really good health. He can probably run longer than I can. And he's just really health conscious. He owns a lot of property out here. Bill talked to him for me. Found me the first property I was starting to buy. I think I put $1,000 or so into it. In a couple of years' time, I was just making little payments with a lot of interest. And I got used to doing that. And then one year, they manured the fields that were just downwind of me. And boy, that smelled up my whole area for a couple of weeks at least. Even until, I mean, they tilled it in, but they'd add more in another areas of fields, and then more, and it just kept going. And it's like, oh, I dealt with that. But 3 or 4 weeks later, again, another irritation came along. And by that time I wasn't making the payments because I just didn't want to, you know. And because I felt uncomfortable there. And then this new oncomer, about 300 or 400 feet away from me, bought a piece of property. Maybe more like 500 feet, but it felt close. And they didn't respect the road too well. And there's the kind of road that if you weren't careful with it, and only driving on it was dry, it's going to turn into a swamp and be unusable. So I decided, well, before I even have to deal with that problem, I'm going to get out of here now. Because, you know, I knew there was other options already, and I talked to Wendell again. He says, well, I don't think I'm going to stay, and he already kind of thought I wasn't, because I wasn't making payments. He was already thinking ahead for me. And he says, I got this property way over there that way. It's a lot further. It's northwest, further northwest, like 10 miles, I think. And moved over there. That's where I've been since. And he just swapped that across for the value of it with what I had already paid him. And he didn't have to do that. The contract for the property I was buying strictly stated that unless otherwise decided by the contract holder, him, that I would lose all the money I paid to him if I decided not to keep the property. You know, he'd just keep the money. Which is fair enough, as you know. After all, he could have been selling to someone else that actually paid for it. Which, truth be known, somebody ended up probably buying it. I think I seen somebody else there a while back. But anyway, I thought it was real nice of him. And he couldn't sell the place I'm at now, and there's really not very many people that look for property out there. There's just rough roads, and sometimes it's impossible to go anywhere because of the weather. But even when it's dry, it's a long ways out there. You gotta like it to know, or I mean, you gotta want it to know you're gonna like it, you know? People that like driving on roads like this don't mind going a little slower. Probably wouldn't mind living off grid far out. Yep. I'm going to get propane, by the way. After I ran out last night and had to run my electric heater, I decided, you know, it might be cheaper, but I can't use it very often or for very long, because it just drains the juice out of the batteries in 4 hours. But in the daytime, it's okay, you know. However, at night, if it's cold, which in another night or two it's going to be a colder night again, I want that propane, because then it really puts out the heat. Propane is one of the hottest gases that you can use, next to gasoline. Burns about as hot as gasoline does. And here's where Bill used to work. You know, and now I remember his name. I guess I'll say it, because I couldn't remember it before. But still, if you have any questions, go ahead and comment. If you've already commented, well, here's your answer. Anyways, I'll answer you in the comments anyway. Last name is Lob, or Lobs. They're really good people. Among my favorite out here. Now, because I'm so distant from everyone, I don't go visiting them all the time, but I'll never forget something he did for me. One of the guys that owns this Lob's farm. Hold on a second. He bought me a couple of tires when I was broke. Wasn't worried if I paid him back or not. That's real love, guys. That's real love. Someone that not even a family member, but just a friend. You know, wow. Yeah. Oh, Bill, he did the same thing a lot for people too. He'd just buy lunch for everybody. Yeah. I don't know, being out here does something to you. Brings out the real in you. The real you. Sometimes it's the wild side, as you can see there. You can see those swerve tracks. But mostly it's the calm, good side again. You know, even the youngins out here never been real terrible at all. Good kids, you know. One of them was real tragic. He was playing on a swing set. I think he was 23 or so. And it must have been depressed. I don't know. He lost his daughter. So anyway, I'm not sure how old he was. We all called him Bebo. Wonderful kid. Funny. Just that one guy you always want to hang out with, you know? And he twisted himself up in those chains one night. Let himself die. I don't know exactly why. Yeah. Wasn't like him to do that, though. So I'm not sure what happened. Not sure. He never talked to me about it. Never asked me for any advice. And he knew I'm a spiritual guy. He could have talked to me, and he knew that. So whatever it was real personal, real deep down. You know, so there's the off chance he could have been messing around and it was an accident. But, I know, yeah, he asphyxiated himself in such a way he couldn't get out of it if he was trying to. I don't know. Weird things happen sometimes. I once fell from a jungle gym that ripped the inside of my stomach open. I had to, it wasn't real bad, but it was bleeding. I had to do a special treatment. Could have died. Could have died. I think I was 7 years old, maybe. I don't know. I was pretty little. That wasn't totally my fault. This kid, and God bless his heart that he wasn't worse on me, because he could have been. He was a bully, kind of bullyish. However, he got bullied too by some people too, so maybe that's where he got it from. I don't know. That kid had a serious accident in his lifetime. But I'll get to that here in a minute. But back then, when I was playing on that jungle gym, he blocked one of my hands and it made me fall. I'm not going to mention his name. It's not what this is about. When he hears this, he'll think of it and remember. I want that guy to know that was not even 1% of what I've been through in personal pain. That was physical pain. A little bit of shock, like, wow, I can't believe you did that. But yeah, that's nothing. So don't worry too much. You'll take your own judgment out upon yourself when you get into your next life. You know, it's not something you need to worry about too much. It's something you need to begin reparations on for yourself right now. Tell yourself you're sorry you did that to someone, or anyone for that matter. Then the healing begins now, not later. That expels you further into, or extends your the whole of you. Yeah, it extends the whole of you further into the plan of what you want for yourself. You know, all you kids are doing what you want, basically. I love y'all anyway. You're like my cats at home, you know, just perfect every way you are. You know, you've made mistakes, so have I. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done some things that, well, if, you know, quite frankly, if any of it's conducive to my learning, it was pretty serious learning. Tell you what. But I don't want to go into too much detail about my personal faults, because they're not really any different than others. So we don't need to speak about all that too much. But the severity of some of the things I've done is more than I bargained to try and do in my life. I just happen to fall into some bad situations once in a while over time. And in these last 10 years, a few times that things I wasn't proud of doing, you know. But had I any idea what really was going on with the whole concept of this pothole? It's like, you know, the movie Avatar, not the blue Avatar guy, but the kid. It's that in a way. Okay. And that is really a good way to look at it. Whoop. As in the soul that I am is who I am. But it was sunk to such a low level that I couldn't remember my whole place, my place, you know, who I am, actually, to start with. And it's the same for all humans, yes. But I am the supreme being, and I did it to me so that I could learn just like all of you. Even if I had learned these lessons already, I maybe needed to learn again a little bit more. That's a rough one right now. Washboard. Wash it away. Wash it all away. Let's see here. I gotta turn my heater off. Getting warm in here. So as I work through issues now, I also heal past life pain from things that I had to go through before. You know, it kind of seeps through, so to speak, some of it. And I've explained that before, how that works. Past pain from past lives. You can feel it deep down if you never healed it before. And then you start to realize the life you're going through is the healing process of what you didn't take care of in the last lifetime. Or perhaps a few before that one altogether. And then it begins to make sense. This is what I do and that's what I do, and it always makes it this way. So I got to change this and that, and now it'll be this way. Now I'm healing from all those problems. Yep. I can promise you, who I really am was ruined long ago in one of my past lifetimes. And I'm trying hard to find it again. It comes in early in the life, but then it gets washed away or swept away by traumas. Who I am is a very wonderful person, spirit, being, however you want to look at me. I really am like an angel. As I let my problems fall away, like oh, there needs a washboard. More washy board. Just give me a second here. That's how it goes. Good old gravel road. Yeah, as my problems fall away, I will be able to find myself again. And then really start to serve humanity with that personality of me that I really am. And it's so powerful. I've changed people's lives. Still do it. But I don't. The knack is there, but not as much. I don't have a knack as much as I used to find these services that I wanted to do in my life, or always want to do. Yeah. I once helped out this old guy. He was Catholic. Nice old man. He was taking like 20 prescriptions. Had all kinds of health problems. He was explaining them all to me while I was sitting in his camper there. And he took him 20, 30 minutes of time talking about everything he's been through and medically. Then he started talking off all the pills he was taking, and I was connected two and two together. Because what was interesting is right around that time in my life, I was looking into prescription drugs and learning their side effects. I was just curious, mostly. So I knew what was going on when he started naming off those names. All the side effects is what he was getting. A lot of them anyway. And I said, look, of all those, maybe you might need the high blood pressure one. If you take the rest of them away, you probably won't have any more problems. So I said, but don't stop taking everything, just the ones you know you can definitely go without. Well, he took my advice, but he decided he didn't need any of them. I was like, wow, I guess he doesn't think he's going to get high blood pressure. I hope not. But that was his choice. I wasn't consulting him like a doctor. I was just giving him, friendly advice. And so, yeah, he took it. He stopped taking them all. 3 days later, he called me on my phone. He says, hey, guess what? I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. This guy was 78 years old. I'm feeling great, Preston. Thank you very much. Come over, there's something I want to give you. So I went over there. Had a little boom box. I had that for quite a while. He gave it to me. And a jacket. I had that for quite a while too. I probably still have it somewhere, but it never fit me right. But I didn't care, because it was a gift, He was showing his appreciation for me helping him. I'll never forget that. That's just the kind of things I can do with the person that I am, truly, as a soul. As Omega, And the Alpha in me is still here too, but that's what I'm trying to find. That's what I'm trying to bring back to myself. It's lost right now. And a lot of it is trauma. As a creator, I am still learning things. Put it quite frankly. And I think you're supposed to know this, because when you're doing the same thing I am, you're going to be still learning things long after you build stuff. Like planets, and stars, and all that. How beautiful that is. Cool, huh? Old Quonset hut here, falling down, ain't that something? Anyway. Yeah, somebody owns them mountains. I believe their last name is Hope. Yeah. Gold up in them hills. Probably about the only gold you're gonna find around here. I don't know. It's not a lot. Not a lot anywhere anyway. But in reality, if you were to scrape the whole Earth's surface and then refine all that, you'd probably find enough to live off of for the rest of your life. It's everywhere, in little tiny bits that you really can't put together enough to do anything with. In fact, you might find that almost every mineral is about everywhere. In small trace amounts. Yeah, good old washboard. Yeehaw. Never get tired of it, haha. I was tired of it the first time I had to go on it, yep. But it was a lot worse than that washboard. About 15 years ago, I suppose. The washboard was so bad I had to go 8-10 miles an hour. I think for like 3 miles or so. Quite a ways. Oh, it was... It was rough. That's all I can say about that. Oh, somebody down there. Okay. Yeah, I gotta make this transformation. I gotta do it on my own. It's more of a physical thing than it is an emotional, spiritual thing now. But it was emotional for the past few months. And some mental changes as well. You know, the higher energy of spiritual power is only usable when the emotions and the body are basically the same way. And so my emotions and mental state had to be healed in order for me to use the energies properly and effectively without hindrance. I just gotta quit lying to myself and, oh, I'm going to quit them cigarettes. Yeah. I've been addicted to many things over my lifetime, not too serious of things, meth once. But nothing is above tobacco, I don't think. It is a very addicting substance. I will not lie. And it's not so much physical, or mental as it is physical for the smell, taste, handling the cigarette in your hand, and sometimes a small satisfaction that it gives you, which isn't all the time. It just depends on if you smoked a lot that day or not. If you did, then it's going to just wear off quickly every time. The body has this way of compensating itself to try and null the effects of foreign substances. It's trying to say that's not what we need. We need, niacin and nicotinic acid are close to the same thing. So the body says, this is not exactly right. And this makes me feel different. So I'm going to put this to the side just to make you think this is not what you want. I think that's how the body works. So, that old overindulgence is all about making you realize that you either don't need it or you're having too much of it. That feeling of overindulged, having too much, And whether it has an effect or not, you don't feel too good. You're just like, yeah. That is what nicotine easily does when you have too much of it. But it won't give you any positive effect. It'll just make it crappy for you. It's a weird stuff. But then if you smoke a lot, 10 minutes later you're like, oh, now I want it again. And It's more of a physical addiction than anything. Your mind don't care, basically, but your hands want to hold it, your lips want to touch it, your lungs want to feel it. It's strange. I smoked pot off and on throughout my life since I was 15 years old. And a year or so ago, I decided to stop, just stop it for a little while, a couple weeks or so, to save some cash. Yeah, there was some strange withdrawal, a little bit weird, hot flashes mostly. But I didn't feel near the need to go for it and hold on to it, and have it. This doesn't give you that same welcoming feeling like tobacco does. I don't know what it is. Maybe the fact that it doesn't really have a full-on effect anyway. It's quite subtle, in fact. Except for the first cigarette. That one's a little bit of a weird rush for a few minutes. Not strong, just a little bit of a weird rush. And then the next one doesn't really do it. It never does it again. Body adapts very quickly to it. I suppose that's what partly creates a physical dependence. But again, it's not so much the chemicals as it is just wanting it there, the feeling. You can let go of the chemical rather easily, but everything else, no, not so easily. And in one of the Gospel of Thomas, one of the scriptures that was written by Jesus himself, which would have been the mind of me or the soul of me talking, said that, in prayer, asking for help, you've got to basically commit to what you're asking for by adding it into your life that way. So if I was to ask for help from the angels to stop the cigarettes, I would really need to commit myself to the action. And, for example, throw the tobacco away, throw the papers away, throw the filters away, and never buy any more. By doing that, it breaks an energetic cycle, because the thought and intention is emotional, not just a basic want to do it. You're actually putting intention into it. Thought and emotional intention. And when you do that, it does cause the prayer to be fulfilled, because you're putting your half into it. It always takes your half along with the other half from the angels, or if I'm directly involved somehow, which I don't have any memory of any of that right now, but I'm sure it'll come back, all the prayers that I've helped with. I know I've helped with a lot of them in human form, but I'm talking about when I'm not in human form. How do I interact? I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how the angels interact either. It's being hidden I hid it from myself. I can do that, okay? You guys got perfect free agency. I can force myself, okay? I can't force any of you to do anything. I can't even ask you to stop smoking. I can say, try. But myself, I'm forcing myself. I am forcing myself to do it over the next couple of weeks. nobody up here. I gotta go over this way. Walking the dog. Girls. Anyway, yeah. I'm almost to the gas station. Yeah. I never did like getting propane, but I gotta do it. Always smells up the vehicle. With the residual smell on the valve, you know. Takes it like a half an hour to go away. Smells a bit right. Anyway. Yep, okay. I'll talk to you guys later. Maybe I'll continue this video later. I don't know, it's kind of long. Yeah, the sun will be in our eyes. I'll make another video later after I upload this one. You guys have a good one. I'm going to try to get up on that road there soon, by the way. You see it there? I think that's it, yeah. Up there. Somewhere up there on the mountainside there. I don't know if it's a good road or not, but yeah. One of these days. You guys have a good one. Love y'all. Talk to you later. Button there, button there.